But first, live to Bill Melugin at the border, back at the border for the first time in 7 months. We start with Bill in Eagle Pass, Texas. Good morning there.
Bill, good morning to you as well. When Tom Homan arrives here tomorrow, he is going to be sending a message, and that message is that the Trump administration wants to be a partner for the state of Texas, not an adversary like we've seen with the Biden administration, which has essentially sued Texas every single time they've tried to secure their own border. Here in Eagle Pass, things have remained very active. Take a look at this video. This was shot right here yesterday by Texas state troopers, which encountered a large group of 200 illegal immigrants that just crossed here. Now, mixed in with that group, look at this, 60 unaccompanied migrant children, some as young as 2 years old. These are tiny little kids who are here with no adults, no guardians, being trafficked into the country by drug cartels and human smugglers. Some of them have little pieces of paper with addresses scribbled on them, places they want to go in the country to reunite with friends or family. And Texas troopers talked to some of these kids about where they're going. Some of the states we heard: Florida, California, Texas, New York, Missouri, Washington, Wisconsin, many others. And some of these kids included a 2-year-old girl. Yes, a 2-year-old girl, completely alone. She was from El Salvador, had a paper with an address on it, and she told Texas troopers she wants to meet with her family here in the U.S. Take a listen.
Venezuela, mamá. Venezuela. ¿Sí? ¿Qué tantos años tienes? ¿Dos años? ¿No vienes con tu mamá y tu papá? ¿No? ¿Venezuela? ¿Para dónde vas, mamá? ¿Dónde están? ¿Estados Unidos?
And mixed in with that group of more than 200 people were also this handful of illegal immigrants from the African countries of Mali and Angola, as we continue to see people from halfway around the world showing up here at our southern border. Again, it's not just Mexico and the Northern Triangle countries. They are literally coming from all around the planet. That includes this group of guys as well. Take a look at these photos here. This was last week here in Eagle Pass. Texas DPS apprehending this group of men from Afghanistan who crossed here in Eagle Pass. Now, all these guys are going to be considered what DHS calls special interest aliens due to national security concerns. These guys should receive additional DHS vetting, but as we've seen many times in the past now, sometimes that does not always happen. And then lastly, take a look at this drone video Texas DPS gave us. What they're doing out here in Eagle Pass is they're running what they call mass migration drills, basically trying to prepare for any mass rush or migrant caravan that could try to run the border here sometime before Trump shows up in office. They want to show a posture that the red carpet is not going to be rolled out. You will be deterred if you try to cross illegally. And back out here live, as for all those unaccompanied kids we were showing you, remember, President Biden's executive order, his crackdown he did back in June, it does not apply to unaccompanied children. As for what happens to them next, Border Patrol will transfer them to HHS. HHS will then be responsible for caring for them. They will then try to find them adult sponsors or family all across the United States. And guys, the important point, if RFK Jr. gets confirmed as the next HHS Secretary for Donald Trump, RFK Jr. is going to be responsible for caring for these migrant kids when they show up here at our southern border.
So you're in Maverick County, Bill. How did the border issue resonate with voters in this election?
Everywhere we went, all over the campaign trail, everybody was talking about the economy and the border. It was always in the top two lists of issues. And everything's going to change down here. I mean, you think about it, it's going to be a 180 in posture from the federal government. We're standing in Shelby Park right now, which is still completely locked down by the state of Texas. Remember, they kicked out Biden's Border Patrol because they were getting so fed up with the barbed wire being cut, heavy machinery being brought in here to tear up Texas barriers. The Biden administration sued Texas when they were trying to put the buoys in the water, when they were trying to pass SB 4, their own border security bill. Abbott got so frustrated he eventually started busing migrants to sanctuary cities around the country. The idea being, if you're not going to take the border seriously, we're going to bring the border to you. So look, the Trump administration ran on the border. It resonated with voters. They wanted a change. It looks like they're going to get a change because we have Tom Homan coming down here now. He'll be here with Governor Abbott, wants to shake the hands of the Texas troopers, shake the hands of the Texas National Guard, look them in the eye and say, a new sheriff is in town. We're going to be your partners. We're going to help you secure this border.
Bill, you answered the question about mass deportations, but let me ask you this and how Texas is preparing. Do you have any insight into how the cartels are preparing for this change?
The cartels always seem to adapt to whatever policy is in effect at the border, and they're very, very good at that. It might take them weeks or months to adapt, but we saw that once Title 42 ended. We saw more rushes of people coming across the border. Texas is preparing in a big way, though. You guys might have heard Texas is actually giving the Trump administration a plot of land over 1,000 acres down in the Rio Grande Valley to kind of set up camps to help carry out these mass deportations. That is not something we could ever imagine happening under the Biden administration. There has been a very adversarial relationship with Texas and the Biden administration, and come January, after Trump's inaugurated, we're likely going to see that do a total 180, and everything's going to switch down here.
Yeah. Regardless, this is going to be a story for the next 4 years for sure. Bill, good to have you back there at your post, Eagle Pass, Texas.
Yes,
Bill
thank
Melugin.
you, Bill. And Democrats in Massachusetts are doubling down on their efforts to hinder looming deportations. One city, Somerville, is set to vote tomorrow on a resolution to reaffirm its sanctuary city status. That comes just days after ICE agents nabbed an illegal immigrant there who's wanted for drug trafficking back in Brazil. Molly Line is in Boston with the details. Molly, do they have the votes to reaffirm?
We shall see, Dana. I hate to get ahead of the city council there. That's a nearby community just outside of Boston. Boston, also a sanctuary city. There are about a half a dozen sanctuary cities across the state of Massachusetts. But focusing on Somerville, the city council is going to take this up. They've had actually a long-held commitment since the late 80s to being a sanctuary city, and that vote expected tomorrow. The move coming, though, just a week after and despite ICE agents arrested an accused and wanted drug trafficker from Brazil in that city. ICE has blurred his face, blurred his name. That's being withheld. But ICE Boston reports that this 38-year-old will now face justice in his home country. Somerville's refurbished a resolution would include funding for legal representation for people facing deportation and reaffirms a promise that the police department will not cooperate with external law enforcement agencies on matters related to immigration detainment. ICE Boston has been very busy across the Bay State in just recent months, arresting at least 17 men accused of sex crimes, including child rape. According to the Enforcement and Removal Operations arm of ICE Boston, these men are all here illegally. At least 9 of the men are what's commonly referred to as gotaways. In several cases, the accused men were released into the public despite ICE detainer requests. For instance, 21-year-old Maher D. Paz Munoz, a Guatemalan national, was charged with rape of a child by force in February, arrested by the Great Barrington Police Department. ICE Boston reports that a detainer was lodged but then ignored. Great Barrington is a sanctuary city. De Paz Munoz was released on bail, and ICE officials were able to arrest him months later on November 12th. There's been a long back and forth going between the Boston mayor and the governor here in the state of Massachusetts and federal officials, the mayor and the governor, promising to push back against Trump's plans at mass deportation. Dana, back to you.
All right, Molly Line, thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Kayleigh McEnany here on a Monday morning. Nice to see you. Fox News Sunday with Jillian Turner working for Shannon, the Democratic Senator from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, on the risk Democrats took by ignoring the border issue in this election.
One area where we kind of lost ourselves was the border. It can't be controversial for our party to be pro-immigration, but we need a secure border. And when we ask or demand people to not believe what they see and see those kind of numbers, that's not a problem.
He was warning even before the election about immigration, especially in Pennsylvania. Biden and Harris did very little on this for 4 years.
Very little. You remember when Biden came under scrutiny for not visiting the border as president. His first visit comes in January of 2023. Kamala Harris went in 2021, and then her next visit was as a candidate in September of 2024. They did not take this seriously. They also must have not been listening to focus groups, looking at polls. CBS just came out and said 57% of Americans want to deport all illegal immigrants, all of them, 57%. That's a huge number. They chose not to take it seriously. They chose to ignore the polls, and here we are.
So there was another incident this weekend in Virginia where there was an attempted rape, and thankfully the woman was able to fight off her attacker. But Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin wrote this: "I am heartsick for this victim and outraged that local Fairfax County officials recklessly released violent illegal immigrants who should have been prosecuted and deported. When President Trump takes office, the political posturing will end and localities will cooperate with ICE to protect Virginians." This is actually then also from the New York City Police Department. I want to read this to you here. from the New York Post. In New York City, it would take a lifetime to clear the city of the criminals that we have. The only people they're shielding are the criminals, and they're shielding the criminals from us. That's the New York City ICE director to the New York Post.
And Kenneth Grinaldo there went on to say the victims are the most vulnerable. They are migrant women, they are migrant children. The most vulnerable suffer, including American citizens, by the way, too. You know, Glenn Youngkin, that rape that happened in the park, how horrendous. They had not had a rape by a stranger in that park in 12 years. And then this happens, an individual who had 2 years of history of sexual assaults or peepings. And yet this happens, totally, totally preventable. Just where Tom Homan is going to visit, you had special interest aliens from Africa coming across. It's a huge problem. And the fact that mayors are doubling down, it will be interesting to see what happens here in New York, though, because Eric Adams has indicated he wants to work with the federal government in private. We know sanctuary city laws prohibit him from doing some things, but it will be a real interesting test case to see what happens.
About 2 weeks ago, he said we have to question our sanctuary status, which, in my view, is a huge move for a Democratic big city mayor in America today. Under Barack Obama, 8 years now, you had 5.3 million removals and returns. That got very little coverage in the media. I imagine it'll be different now under Trump.
Yes, and President Trump's going to try to do the same, but you will have the media seizing on pictures and images. They will put it up. They will try to make this a huge scandal, ignoring the past and the precedent with President Obama. There's no doubt about it. So they have to do this carefully. But I just think public sentiment has changed. We're a long way from where we were in 2016 when President Trump was floating some of these ideas that did not have majority support. Now they do. Politically, we're in a different place. So I'm not sure the media antics will work the same way.
Well, and you have to ask, so what changed? And the Democrats have no one to blame but themselves. If they didn't want this to happen, the fact that they let the border just be completely open for 4 years means that that's how you get the kind of numbers where people are like, yes, we think mass deportations are necessary.
And then you have a 2-year-old Venezuelan girl crossing the border alone. My son turns 2 on Friday. He can barely walk up the stairs. She got to our southern border, probably through a cartel. Who knows what happened to her? There is atrocity at the southern border, and it needs to end.
Remarkable stuff. Nice to see you on a Monday. See you at noon on Outnumbered, okay?
Good to see you.
Thank you,
Yes,
Kayleigh. Thanks for coming in.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.